Hello, I'm Deborah Marshall with the American Fundraising Foundation. It is my honor and my privilege to introduce a very, very special friend to AmFund. This is our Unrestricted Pairing podcast, and you'll learn a little bit more about that podcast at the end of this particular transmission. And we are delighted to have Mary Pointer with us today. And Mary comes to us from Oklahoma. And she is one that has traveled quite a bit with AmFund. I think we're on trip number 6 coming up, right?
Yes.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, one of the things that I'm always thrilled to hear about are your adventures. There was one that you took that was sand surfing. I had never heard of that before, and I think we may have arm twisted you into doing it. I'm not sure, but it had to be a great experience.
I had never heard of sand surfing either. And so one of your employees called me and said, "Hey, you're adventurous. You want to do this?" And I said, "Sure." And so it's really, they give you a surfboard and they wax it and you just go and...
Are you strapped in?
No.
Oh my goodness. Listen, I saw the picture. It looked like it was a very high mountain.
It was a very high mountain of sand. To get there, you're in this dune buggy and it's like a roller coaster. You go straight up and straight down, but you're...
Wow.
And and then you have to hike like 15 minutes in the sand to get to the dune buggy.
Wow.
To ride the dune buggy.
And what was this destination? I don't even know.
It was in Peru.
Peru.
It's right outside of Lima.
So I heard that some of your family members thought that you were a little bit crazy to do that.
My son said, "Mom, don't break anything."
Well, obviously you were able to chalk one great adventure up, and I've heard that since then that you've added more to it. You're going to take a helicopter ride pretty soon.
I am. I'm going on the 007 trip and taking a helicopter from Nice to Monaco.
Wow.
And it's just every experience is greater than the last one.
So, Mary, it's really important for organizations to understand what we do and the distinctive difference. Can you share just a little bit about why you think it's important for them to use an organization like AmFund?
I can. I think, first of all, they need to understand what AmFund is. It's not a travel agent, and you have several different programs that you can get in. You will go into. But I have a desire. Most of us have a desire to travel, but we want to make philanthropic donations, and so this satisfies both. I can donate to my favorite charity, and I can travel. And this is donor dollars that the organizations would not be receiving without the trips.
It's true. Very often I hear from organizations, well, wouldn't you be taking money out of the room for us to have your trips? Well, no, we see that they're not taking money out of the room. We're actually introducing new people to their organization and then giving them an opportunity to cultivate that relationship. It is a win-win because they're taking money out of their vacation dollar pocket along with their philanthropic. And you are philanthropic for sure. I think your husband even has a word or two for what you do.
I met my husband when I was 22 years old, and he's 12 years older than I am. And first conversation I had, I really want to make a difference and change the world and make the world a better place for everyone to live in. And so that's what I do with my philanthropic work, is try to make the world a better place for everyone.
Well, I had the privilege of actually visiting a session that you put together with some of the leaders in the nonprofit arena there in Oklahoma. And I was very impressed, not only by what you have done personally, but how you've gathered nonprofit organizations together and strengthened them as a result of it. I think that's incredible. And that certainly is a synergy that we carry with you. I think that when AmFund is introduced to a nonprofit organization, we like to let them know that, you know what, we're there as a partner to help support you, whether it's an educational process or whether it's an opportunity to speak to your board about fundraising. That's our Speakers Bureau that we don't talk about a lot, but there are so many programs that we offer to support nonprofits, including our grant program that we introduced as a result of COVID. And so we're seeing a number of nonprofit organizations come out and apply for those grants, but also to take advantage of our hallmark piece, which is our assisted silent auctions and live auctions. So you have certainly done a tremendous amount for us.
Well, I appreciate it. And Fund has done a tremendous amount for the country.
So, Mary, having taken so many of our trips, I want to hear this from you, but I'm confident that you didn't have somebody saying, okay, get on the bus right now. You got to go eat at so-and-so place. Are those the kind of trips that we offer?
No, and you and I had talked about it earlier, but I see these people, and there's a person carrying an umbrella, and they're walking down the street, and they have this little line of people, and they go into the loop, and they go, here's another, it's like click, click, click. Okay, it's time to get on the bus and go someplace else. The trips that I take with AmFund are just me and a friend. There's just two people, so it's not a group trip. I mean, we probably could put together if we wanted one, but that's not what we're buying at an auction or supporting. But it's one-on-one, and everything is arranged. It's perfect. And I had a couple of problems one time. I was trying to figure out how to get to the airport and something, and I sent an email in the middle of the night. And it was taken care of. It, had a driver picking me up. So, and it wasn't your problem. It was my problem. I didn't arrange it before I left. So at 3 o'clock in the morning, I was trying to find a way to the airport. And I was in Amalfi. But you took care of it.
Well, I'm so glad to hear that. Customer service is really, really important to us. Integrity, transparency, honesty, all of those things are really the hallmark of who we are and what we do. And I'm grateful to hear that. One of the things that I love is our ability. We talk about the trips a lot, but I love being able to partner with nonprofit organizations, whatever their needs are. And we don't take that lightly. We recognize that they have very, very special donors, just like you are to the nonprofit that you serve in your community. And it's important to us that we treat those patrons as wonderful individuals as you do. And I think it's critical that we demonstrate that in all that we say and do. And being able to raise unrestricted funds for an organization and to be able to say that, these trips are good for 3 years from the date of your event. And then we follow through on that. I think I shared a story with you before that during COVID, all the travel was shut down. And we don't consider ourselves a consignment company, and we certainly don't consider ourselves competitive with any of them because we offer such a higher level of service. But we honored those trips for years afterwards. And I think that that's critically important to know that when a nonprofit organization, certainly one that you might recommend to us, you can trust that we're going to do the right thing for them.
And I think the most important thing that you said, too, was that you're a partner. You're building a relationship with that nonprofit. It's not a transaction. So you're not doing a one-off. You're actually learning about the nonprofit, what their work is, what they're doing, supporting it. And I would even say that you vet them. You don't support all nonprofits. If it's a cause that probably shouldn't be supported, I don't know what they are, but I'm not going to go into that. You vet those, and so you make sure that it's something that's integrity, that's valuable, that's an asset to the community, that you build a relationship. So you're talking to the executive director, you're finding out what they're doing, you're interviewing them, and you're supporting them, and you're building a relationship. And then they have the event 1 year, then you discuss the next year.
It's interesting you should say that. I was just in a meeting recently with our staff, and we have repeat business for sure. Once we do something and get into a partnership, we have one organization that we've been serving for 10 years. And that tells me something. If we're going to go back year after year after year, that says that we're doing something right for them and raising significant amount of money. And so we love that. I think that our slogan is, we fund your cause. And I think it's important to recognize the causes that are so critical to the communities. I mean, there are so many humanitarian organizations that need us. art groups that are sometimes overlooked with some of the grant funding that's available out there. But for us to be able to go in at one of their special events and support them, whether it's a live auction or a silent auction, for us to send someone to that event and be able to support them is critical to their success as well.
When you do send someone to the event, they were passionate. I've met several people, and they understand the cause. They understand the nonprofit. They understand AmFund, and they're able to communicate the importance of both.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I do love too is when we do go to one of these repeat businesses or nonprofit organizations, is to see past travelers come up and say, I took that trip. I think that's a lot of fun. So I'm sure that you do too.
I did that. I said, I went on that trip, but I haven't been on that trip.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. It certainly is helpful to hear that. Well, I'm so grateful for you and grateful that you could come into our national headquarters and see it firsthand for yourself. You were able to see our travel side where our travel specialists work one-on-one with the travelers, and then you saw our development team that works directly with the nonprofits and our production department that is part of this because we have to create a lot of material because we provide all kinds of marketing tools as well.
And it is a one-stop.
It is.
I mean, they showed me this suitcase that they ship all of the marketing information. They take everything with them to the event. So the nonprofit doesn't have to worry about anything the day of.
Or to pay for it. I mean, that's the beautiful part about it. It's like an in-kind donation for us to be able to send somebody, put them up in a hotel, make absolutely certain that their needs are taken care of, and then they bring all the promotional material with them, set up these beautiful displays. And so we really, really strive to do what's right by the nonprofits. And I think that's what distinguishes us. And you've seen that firsthand. So we're so appreciative of that. Glad you could come in.
Thank you. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you to AmFund. Thank you to all of your employees. And just keep making the world a better place.
Thank you. We'll just sign you up for another trip.
That's it.
All right. Good deal. Thank you so much.
So I'll start with, having traveled on so many different AmFund trips of a lifetime, was there a particular destination that was your favorite and why?
You know, that's impossible to answer. I've been on 5 trips. The first 2 were to South Africa. Well, how can you say that? The safari was less impressive. I mean, every one of the trips was a trip of a lifetime. So the safari, seeing the animals, experiencing that. Then the next trip was to Peru. And climbing to Machu Picchu. I mean, how can you compare not Machu Picchu to safari? And then to Norway, and to seeing all the sights in Norway. And then to the Malfi Coast. So each trip is completely unique. You can't compare it to each other. No, there's not a favorite, so...
And what was the next destination on your list?
The next destination is Spain, Croatia, and Bosnia.
It's amazing. Spain, Croatia, and Bosnia. You have a full passport.
I do.
All right. Well, our next question is, what advice can you give to other donors who are interested in bidding on their very first AmFund trip of a lifetime?
So my favorite story that I always tell them is when I saw the poster and I was reading it, I thought it was too good to be true. So I walked over and I was showing my husband and I had him go over and look at it. I think I even took the poster over to the table. And Monica will tell you that I walked over to her about 10 times and said, now, are you sure this is what this really includes? And she said, I promise it's. And I'd go back to my husband and said, well, she promises. And I'd go back, Monica, are you sure? So I will tell you, after 5 trips completed, I'm sure it really is what it says it is. And they are once-in-a-lifetime opportunity trips. But I'm always going to get the next once-in-a-lifetime opportunity trip.
What advice can you offer to nonprofit organizations who are exploring implementing the AmFund exclusive travel auction?
So the advice that I would give to a nonprofit organization is to look at the trips. And I'm going to use myself as an example. So I purchased a trip, the James Bond trip. And, I paid whatever I paid for it. I don't remember how much it was. But this the donation that AmFund is making to this nonprofit is money that they would not have received from me. So it is a win-win. It's a win for your donors. It's a win for the organization. And I feel good about my trips. Every time I take a trip, I know that I'm supporting the organization and giving them valuable donor dollars.
So this organization was able to tap into your travel pocket that they otherwise would not have been able to tap into.
Exactly.
Oh, that's great. Another question, Mary. As a dedicated philanthropist, which you are, what changes would you predict will unfold in the nonprofit sector in, say, the next 12 to 18 months?
That is a tough question. So I am watching people retire. So there's a lot of baby boomers that are retiring, and so they're going to have less discretionary income. And the younger generation is not as philanthropic as the baby boomers. So I think there's going to be a huge loss in the philanthropic area. And so I think AmFund is actually the solution to that problem, because this younger group is going to travel. They're probably not going to write you a check, but they will travel. So I think AmFund can mind that gap between what's going to happen.
Wow, that's huge. And with that, that prediction in the nonprofit sector, I mean, we've seen that too. We saw the Great Resignation, and now we're seeing lots of retirements. If you had a magic wand and could wave this magic wand and fix or provide a solution to the nonprofit sector, what would that solution be?
I would think working with more organizations, I'm going to go back and talk about AmFund, working with more organizations like AmFund to find solutions, because you're going to have to be more creative with your way of generating donor dollars.
And your partnerships along the way.
And your partnerships on the way. And AmFund has a lot to offer. So you can tell them all about their programs, but they're pretty special.
Well, thank you. You all heard it here first. We have the Mary Pointer seal of approval.